All right, good evening. In 1992, Admiral James Stockdale was the nominee for Vice President of the United States running on a ticket with Ross Perot. He got to the vice presidential debate, and the first thing he did was stand up and take off his glasses and say, "Who am I and why am I here?" And that's how I feel tonight. It's been so long since we've done this. You're asking, "Who am I and why am I here?" Um, well, I voted for Admiral Stockdale. I don't mind telling you. And I voted for Ross Perot in 1992 and Admiral Stockdale. So I'm feeling the same way. Who am I and why am I here? Well, my name is Lee. I have a new Twitter account, as you can see, because my old one got bagged. I hear Embry in the background. Is that Embry?
That is.
My boys are getting ready for bed. They've been kind of worn out. Anyway, this is American Hammers TV. In case you forgot, it's been a long, long time. I know. In case you forgot, this is American Hammers TV. We try to do this on Wednesday nights where we talk about West Ham. My name is Lee. I live near Boston, and I will be forgiven for forgetting entirely who I was because I haven't been on here in a long, long time. Uh, anyway, what do I always say when I start? If you would like to get rid of this StreamYard logo that you see up in the corner of your screen here, then please check out our merchandise store, ahtv.threadless.com. So threadless, no threads. You can get a lot of West Ham stuff, American Hammers TV stuff from your supporters group in your hometown. It helps us keep the show going and this show and all the other shows on our network, which we're bringing back now that we're a month and a half into the season. But yeah, it helps us keep going. So that's a big help. Plus, you get cool stuff out of it. So it helps us, and it helps you too. It's good for everybody. I'm going to. I haven't even signed into this yet, but I'm going to throw up my GoFundMe here for my young friend Ensa in the Gambia, who has. I want to tell you, by the way, very quickly, our team in the Gambia, West Ham United, the Gambia, okay, under 15
They're
club.
flying.
They are flying. So they entered a tournament in Ensa's neighborhood, which is called Faraba Banta, which is in Banjul in the Gambia. It's in the capital of
That
the
name makes
Gambia.
me want to dance.
Faraba Banta is as cool a name as you could imagine for any place, and that's in his village. So they entered a tournament. They have in the group stages of this tournament, they won or drew every match. All right. So they have advanced to the semifinals. They've gone immediately to the semifinals. They won, I think, two or three group stage games, drew the other ones. They won on a quarterfinal in a penalty shootout that was very dramatic. I think I even put it up on our West Ham United the Gambia Facebook page. A dramatic, long penalty shootout, and the fans stormed the pitch afterwards and celebrated. They have whole legions of fans that cheer for them, go out and bang drums and sing for them and stuff. This is not youth football the way you know it in the United States or maybe even the UK. This is a different atmosphere altogether. These games have real atmosphere. Anyway, they have flown into the semifinals, and they will, as soon as the semifinals happen, they will be in the semifinal. Now, the semifinals have been delayed a little bit because the Gambia Football Association has decided to come up with a team that is made up of the best of the players of this tournament and put them into kind of like a regional team that they're actually going to put into a Gambian third
Very
division.
cool.
Yeah, a third division competition. So Ensa was selected, which is fantastic news, and 6 or 7 of our players from West Ham, the Gambia, were selected for this third division club, which will actually have an opportunity to win their way up into the Gambian top flight, believe it or not, if they can do it. West Ham United, the Gambia still exists. It's still there. The kids are still there. They're continuing on in their tournament. They still want to join a league, and I think what this shows us is that we've done a lot of good in these kids' lives. Um, they have a team that they're part of. They've accomplished a lot. Some of them have gone on to, maybe establish themselves as professional footballers at some point. So anyway, I'm popping up the link if you have some money to give. Right now, we're trying to get them kits, claret and blue kits. They need kits in order to join a league. They've been borrowing kits that are plain blue that I don't know where they got them, but they're not theirs. They don't belong to them. So we need to get them some kits. So this is for kit money. If you will, if you have the heart to donate, that'd be wonderful. I have given a lot of my own money to the team too, just so you know. but all of the money we raise through the GoFundMe goes to the club. I've helped Insa on a personal level a little bit. His house was falling down, so I gave him some money to get his house fixed. Uh, he just needs a lot of help. But everything we raise goes right to the team. So anyway, that's enough of that. Who is here tonight? I see Craig Dawson, along with the lovely meme lady. Best looking picture on the board tonight. You know who that is? Coming to us from East London or somewhere thereabouts. It's our friend Lucas. How are you, Lucas?
I'm absolutely fantastic. I couldn't get my face on the screen, so why not get Craig? It's
You got to
fucking
get
Craig.
Craig. Craig is going to go down as one of the all-time great West Ham cult heroes, and maybe just heroes. Period.
I think he deserves a testimonial.
I think he does too. Down below, geographically on the screen, Lucas. It's our friend from Chicago, Phil. How you doing, Phil?
I'm doing all right. I'm just another day, enjoying it best I can.
And I see the chat room's filling up, which we really appreciate because, as I said, we haven't done this in a while, so I'm glad you remember who we are. Scott from Reno, as always, down in the left-hand corner down there. How you doing, Scott?
I am fantastic. How are you?
Well, I am okay, and I know we've done a lot of preamble, but there's something I cannot forget to say, which is that I want to offer our very heartiest congratulations, of course, to Tom and Rebecca, who got married last weekend. Yes.
Well done.
Got married last weekend. Our man Lucas was on the scene. He was there.
I was.
He's in the background of the pictures, wearing these trousers that are they're pretty nice actually. They're kind of like a floral. There's like a floral sort of thing going.
I told them I didn't want to be the main attraction. I wanted to be the lasting thought. Like,
you upstaged the bride, though.
The wedding
you
was
upstaged
beautiful.
the bride, though. You did do that.
No. The wedding was beautiful. The drinks were flowing. The people were great. The bride was beautiful. But then there was that guy wearing the floral trousers. That's where I wanted to be. I wanted to be the last thought.
Well, I will say that I don't know if they mentioned us like during the ceremony or anything, Lucas, but I think it's because of American Hammers TV that they met each other. Isn't that right? That's the story, right?
I believe so.
They wouldn't have known each other at all otherwise. There'd be no way they would ever have met through any other channels. Just this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm going with that as a.
And another tidbit, I would like to announce that I think I have officially reversed the curse.
Yes.
I reversed the curse.
We're winning. Yes, we're winning with you there. You can't come home.
Last time was not great.
I don't want you to come back. You got to stay. Now, how many games have you seen since you've been over there?
3 or no, 2.
Okay, so you went to 2. So you went to Wolves and you went to
Fulham,
and so that was that's like a 5-1 aggregate that we got.
Yeah, Saturday was tough. I got off the plane. I left at about 7 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, didn't sleep on the flight. Got to Reykjavik. Almost missed my layover off pure stupidity and tiredness. Didn't sleep on the way there because there was a baby crying. So I literally just fought through a whole time zone change and slept like 12 hours.
Wow.
The next night. But yeah, we're going to Anderlecht tomorrow at home.
Yes.
Hopefully
you're going. So you're going to Brussels tomorrow then? Oh no, it's a home game. Sorry.
Yeah, and I'll be at Southampton on Sunday.
And that's away. Are you got a ticket for Southampton away?
Yeah, praise God. I grinded for that ticket, and it took lots of man hours.
Hey, it's Wally. I saw you on Twitter, desperately begging, and I was, there's not much I can do. But by the way, I lost. In case you guys you didn't know, if you've been trying to get a hold of me on my old Twitter account, it's gone. I can't get it back. I don't know if I'll ever get it back. This is the new one, West Ham USA, that I actually had for many years and kind of kept dormant. I lost access to my other one when I made a joke to Tommy. Irish Tommy said he was rewatching the Everton game, and I said next time, just stick an ice pick in your eye. It'll have the same effect. And right? So you get it. You get it. Okay. So then Twitter bans me for 12 hours and says, "Well, you've incited self-harm or violence."
That's crazy because I've gotten multiple 12-hour Twitter jail things.
Well, okay, so I didn't mind the 12-hour Twitter jail part. The problem was I couldn't get back into my account. I never could restore my password. I never could get back in. I never got back into it. And I tried and got, but Twitter help doesn't really exist.
I always fight for what's right. The last time I got banned was after the Chelsea match, and I just kept adding the Premier League and calling them a bunch of thugs and a bunch of corrupt.
Well, yeah, because they are. Because we all know they were.
Exactly. And I did what was right, and I got banned.
Well,
it was probably after an NFL game in which the Steelers got absolutely hosed, and I just kept adding Roger Goodell and the NFL officiating Twitter. But
I was willing to accept the ban. I don't care. It was obviously just a joke. Tommy knew it was a joke. Obviously, I'm not literally telling him to stick an ice pick in his eye, right? I mean, not literally. But Twitter the algorithm has no sense of humor. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll wait it out. But the problem is it never let me back in. So anyway, if you've been trying to get a hold of me that way, I'm not there anymore. Or may never be there again. I don't know. Maybe in that we'll see. All right. After all that, I want to talk a little about Fulham. I know we have Southampton coming up, which when I lived in France, the French commentators can't say the word Southampton. It's not they would say Southampton.
It's not translatable.
It's not translatable. They don't have the th, the th. They don't have that.
Southampton.
So they would say Southampton, and that's how I always think of Southampton. Fulham. Let me ask you guys this. Lucas, you were there. Did we score any goals against Fulham?
Other than
the penalty, were any of the goals legitimate?
I think the last one could be argued, but I mean it was a cancellation because yes, it could have been a handball, and yes, if Antonio goes down, that's a red card for the Fulham defender.
Isn't it a red card if he doesn't go down? I mean, isn't it a red card just because?
No, not nowadays.
It should be.
Yeah, it should be.
I mean, and I know it made it 3-1, so it didn't really make the difference in the match. And I do think we were the better team. I have to tell you that I was pretty confused by that last goal. And if I were a Fulham supporter, I would have been really angry about the last one.
Yeah, it's typical like new Premier League rule bullshit, but like it really just doesn't make sense. But at the same time, like it's just like it's a cancellation. Like if Antonio were to go down, that's a straight red, last man. But Antonio did kind of handball. I think.
No, he absolutely stuck his hand out and touched the ball. I mean,
but was it intentional? That could be argued.
Well, no, but you remember. But we've seen many times.
He chest trapped the ball with his bicep. He stuck his hand out. Like he used his bicep as an extension of his chest. Yes, that was a handball.
We saw that Sheffield United game, and I think it was the Moyes' first or second game in charge after he came back. If you remember, we had an equalizer against Sheffield United that was chalked off because Declan Rice had a handball in the run-up where he's literally got his hands up beside his side and the ball hits him in the fist, and that's enough in the run-up that it's no goal. Antonio literally just sticks his arm
yesterday.
out. Yeah, exactly. I was at work. It was at my old job. I was fuming. Antonio sticks his hand out, just as you said, Scott. Basically, just funks the ball, but then there was this whole thing about because he missed the shot, it started another phase or something,
which is ridiculous.
But how is it not a handball in the run-up?
It's the Premier League's get out of jail free for the referees, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to throw the guy out. So we'll say, all right, a different phase of play, which is undefinable.
And it makes it more confusing that they decided to do this in a West Ham Fulham match rather than when it was West Ham Chelsea. But
I mean, listen, I have said before that I think that the Premier League plays favorites.
Absolutely.
With the big clubs. Now, would they do that for us against Fulham? I mean, it seems less likely, but I'm not going to say it's impossible. I think West Ham have more fans than Fulham, probably have a bigger pull overseas than Fulham. I mean, did it play into their thinking? I don't know, maybe. I'm not going to say we got screwed against Chelsea and then say that we can't screw somebody else. I mean, that's not how it works, right?
I just like to stick straight.
The makeup PK, it could just simply be that, right? Like the referee blows a foul, really shouldn't have happened, so you go down the other end and you get a PK, call it even. It could simply be a makeup.
Yeah, and then the first goal, obviously, I missed Pereira's goal because the turnstiles and everything at the London Stadium is so bad. Like, don't get me wrong, I hold London Stadium I hold it not high regard, but I do appreciate giving it my first special moment for my first match. But that place is a shithole, to be honest. I'm being completely honest. That's why, like, I really look forward more to going to away matches in the away days. But I literally missed the first goal because the turnstiles and the barcodes and the QR codes so shit. But the first goal we scored off the penalty, I don't know what it is about that.
No.
But if someone tells me to stop doing something twice, I usually don't try and test the third
Now, see,
time.
I thought that I'm going to tell you what I thought about that personally.
Ultimately, I thought it was a penalty.
It's absolutely a penalty in my mind, and I'll tell you why. There's two reasons. One, it should be a penalty anyway. All right. If there were more penalties on corners like that when there's pushing and shoving and tripping and elbowing and hitting, which there always is, then you're going to see less of that stuff. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes.
Oy. Oy.
Say hi. Say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
It's Isaac.
Hope you're well, nephew.
No.
Hope you
no,
feeling good.
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. We'll talk about it. Okay. We'll talk about it. And here's the other one. Here's Andrew.
That was literally me celebrating Skamaka's chip.
All right, boys. Go obey your mama. Okay. All right, go obey your mama. We'll talk about the other thing later. Okay. All right. Good night, boys. Good night.
And hugging a man I'll never probably see again in my life.
So, my Isaac has started a YouTube channel. I'm not quite ready to promote it publicly yet because he's only 12, and we're trying to figure out kind of what to do about that because I don't really necessarily need the whole world watching him play Minecraft. He wants to be a YouTuber for his career. He wants to have millions of subscribers. That's good ambition eventually, but right now he's 12, and I need to keep it more. I need to think about how I'm going to handle that.
Just like the outfielder from Benchwarmers.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So those are my boys. Isaac and Andrew. Anyway, back to the PK. To me, why is it a PK? If you called more penalties in situations like that, you'd have less of the punching, hitting, grabbing stuff. The second reason, the referee goes over and says, "Don't do that." Okay, he says, "Don't do that," and the defender comes back and he does the same thing. Basically, bodies.
And
Dawson.
you're just it's the
You
laws.
were literally asking for it at that point. You were
It's
literally
the law of the game. You're not allowed to block off someone's
right.
run. You can joust with them clearly, but you just can't set a
You
pick in
can't
front
do
of
that.
them.
And he doesn't talk about West Ham while he plays Minecraft. He doesn't talk about West Ham. You can't. I mean, when you can't block somebody's run like that. Number one. Number two. I mean, it's obstruction, I think, or something along those lines. Number two. If the ref says don't do something, don't do it. All right. Don't. You just literally put two fingers up to him.
Unless it's Mike Dean, and then you just take the
unless
piss.
it's Mike Dean, in which case he deserves it. But you can't just put two fingers up to him and say I'm going to do it anyway. Okay, he's going to blow you up for the
also
penalty.
Pereira's excuse after the match was so bad because he said he didn't want to fall down like a girl, and it's funny he says that because I don't think, besides Marta from Brazil, I don't think I've ever seen a woman in the game flop.
I've never seen it. I'm telling you, I've watched West Ham. Have you, Phil?
I mean, it depends on the level of flopping, but it's not that much. It's not that much because I watch NWSL. I try to watch the Women's Premier League.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but yeah, the level of flopping is at a much lower rate in the women's game. It happens
by a lot.
But it's much less common.
Much lower.
I said, Marta from Brazil is the only one I can attest for. She was an absolute flopping queen.
Yeah, but she could get away with it too.
I saw her play a few times when Boston had a team years ago. She's a magnificent player, fantastic player. But I watched the Boston Breakers when they had an old women's professional league team here. It was not the current women's league, but the predecessor.
Yeah.
I went to a lot of those games live. I've watched a lot, and I'm with you guys. I don't see the flopping in the women's game that I see in the men's game. So I'm with you, Lucas. I didn't appreciate the comment that he didn't want to fall like a girl or something
just
like that.
made him look like an idiot.
Not a necessary thing to say. All right. And aside from that, that's not what he was doing anyway. He just basically just bodied Dawson.
Yeah.
So anyway, I never have a problem with the penalty at all, frankly. I think that's one of the situations where it's like, be smart, don't do stupid things. All right.
Yeah.
If our player had given away that penalty, I would be blaming our player for being a moron, personally.
Yeah.
The Skamaka goal, what a finish, by the way. What a finish.
Where I was sitting, it literally happened directly in front of me. I was sitting in a 118, so I had the side view. I wasn't behind the goal, but I saw that happen in front of me. It was absolutely beautiful.
Now, let me ask you this. He thought he was offside or thought he was, I don't know what he thought, but he kind of didn't celebrate.
Exactly what you're thinking happened around the ground.
Yeah.
Like,
okay, yeah.
We celebrated for probably about 3 or 4 seconds.
And then
we saw his reaction. We stopped. And then we celebrated like mad after we saw that it went in, and then he celebrated like an absolute maniac, like on-off switch, which I absolutely love. I mean, I love an absolute maniac.
Yes.
And we did exactly what he did, basically, but it was very weird.
I think that, I mean, it seemed that goal got enough scrutiny that it didn't hit his hand.
It was unreal because I've never seen the VAR check take that long and go from one thing to another.
I actually thought offside was more likely than the ball hitting his arm. Because he kind of looked offside to me, but I mean, maybe it was just his arm, and you can't be offside with your arm if you can't score with your arm unless you're Mikel Antonio. So, you can't have this part of you can't be offside, right? That's the idea.
Yeah.
But I sure thought he was offside. I don't know, Scott, Phil, what did you think when that goal went in? Because it didn't look like it was going to stand.
No, it didn't. It was total confusion. And being West Ham, the mindset was, well, if they're not going to chalk it off for one thing, they're going to find a way to chalk it off for another.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So that's where I was mentally. Well, so that's why I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens.
Well,
I mean,
and the flag went up, right? The flag went up for offsides.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I'm of the opinion that you almost always err because the officials do such a bad job at offsides, like calling anything close, that if they're actually going to put their flag up, they really think he's offsides.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it ended up being his arm.
Yeah.
And all the 85 replays we saw of the ball bouncing.
How many lines did you see on the television?
You see the ball go up, but the ball doesn't change any direction, as it's coming back down. It comes straight back down. So there's no way you could say it was a handball. I mean, and I was screaming at the television, baby's out in the living room. I'm yelling that there's no way.
I don't think it was a handball. You know what it reminded me of? We had a game against Brighton, you guys might remember, and this is maybe 3 years ago. And we were up 3-1, I think. Ended up being a 3-3 draw, of course, because we never beat Brighton. This was a home game, if we're not mistaken. And, Glenn Murray, who always scores against us, scored a goal. Do you remember this? Scored a goal where the ball came up, and it's almost hard to see. The ball came up and hit him about right here.
Yeah.
And his hand was at his side, to be fair, and the ball came up and hit him. And if in fast motion, in real motion, it looked for all the world as though it came off his hand, right? But when they show, and this frustrated me to no end. I was at my friend Ken's house, and I had to admit, finally, after about the 14th replay, it never touched his hand. It just didn't. I mean, he celebrated as though it didn't. Do you know what I mean? Which tells you a lot. It really just didn't. And I think it was the same thing with Skamaka. It didn't. The spin didn't change. Nothing changed.
It's just unreal how long it takes. Like, we literally sat there for like 5 minutes, just like wondering what's going on. And then obviously after it took about 3-4 minutes for them to decide it's not a hand or it's not offside, then they go to the handball, and it's like, Jesus Christ, like, can we just get something figured out? And I can only imagine how many lines you saw on the television. That was my favorite part about the first
they
first
only drew
technology,
one
seeing all the
line.
lines.
They only drew one
They only
line.
drew one
Yeah.
line, and it was
Yeah.
like he's onside.
I'll never
And then
forget
that
the
was
first time I saw them with like 16 lines, a centimeter apart from each other. It was absolutely unreal technology.
The thing about those lines that is so funny to me is we have to assume that that's where the line is at the exact moment when the ball is struck. Okay, but you guys know as well as I do that when these players are in perpetual motion, that line represents
The lines literally are not real.
they're not real. They represent a singular moment in time. Okay,
That's the thing that's like so funny about it all.
Right,
Like it's
when you
literally
when you
not real.
strike-
It's a computer guy's guess as to when the ball was hit.
Exactly, because when you strike a football, okay, when you kick a football, you make contact, you follow through, you have probably a half second to a whole second of contact with that ball, right? I mean, a kick is not something that happens instantaneously. A kick requires force, and then pressure, and so you're drawing a line, and you have to ask yourself, well, is that where the line was?
The technology for the World Cup is a lot more. It makes a lot more sense. They basically have like a chip inside the ball.
Yeah,
and it has like some
well,
sort
because
of.
you have to ask, like, ideally what you want to do is draw a line at the place where the players were
Yeah.
when the ball was struck, but the striking of the ball is a sort of half second, 3/4 second, 1 second process in and
Yeah.
of itself. Do you know what I mean? So it should be when the leather hits the ball, but man, that's got to be almost impossible to determine. You've seen what those pictures look like. They're pixels. You can't get the detail that you need to see when the lace of the boot strikes the ball. That's crazy. Those lines
Yeah.
to me, they're not real. They don't mean anything. That's one of the big problems I have with VAR. You're taking a guess. You're just taking a guess. Well, I think this is when the ball was struck, and I think this is where these players were. We're going to draw these random lines and hope that we're close. It's not an exact science at all. It looks like it, but it's actually not. Anyway, hey Franklin, welcome, my friend. First live stream, first one we've done in a long time, so you haven't missed anything over the last few weeks. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think first goal for me, I have no problem with being a pen. Second goal, as we mentioned, lot to look at.
Absolutely beautiful.
But it was clean, and that finish was so. I love a chip. That finish was so beautiful. The third one, if it had gone the other way, I'd be pretty upset about the third one. Yeah, I'm not going to lie about that. So we're moving into. Any more thoughts you guys have on Fulham before we move on to tomorrow's game and Southampton?
Zuma's closing down on the goal we gave up was atrocious.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I've coached 12-year-olds that close down better than that, right? The goal's there. You get yourself between the two, and he just looked like he was out for a stroll.
It was bad all around.
If that had been one of my, sorry, Phil, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that was ugly.
If that had been one of my third or fourth grade defenders, and I'm, obviously not going to yell at the kids who are out there to have fun, but I would have gently,
I'll come out and yell at your kids for you, Lee.
I would have, well, they're just out there to have a good time. They're out there to have a good time. So I would have gently said, look, we've talked about this. You need to come out and close down on that player. You need to come out and at least make it harder. Right, at least make it harder for him to score that goal. There was a lot of debate on Twitter as to whether the goal was Zuma's fault or Fabianski's fault.
It was a combination.
It was both.
Right. To me,
because if Zuma's pressuring one way, keeper has to come. So there was no communication there between the two. I blame the defender because I was a goalkeeper and I train goalkeepers, and goalkeepers are always right. So the defender has to do the right thing.
Goalkeepers Union.
Yes.
Goalkeepers Union, Scott.
Fab to me could have been. He didn't have to be so far up into his goal. He was standing on the line, basically, which I hate seeing the keeper do unless it's a penalty when you have to do it. I always tell my kids, come 2 or 3 steps out and cut down the angle. Because if you're standing on the line, you're just wide open. You're leaving a huge space on either side. So I would like to have seen Fab come out a little bit and cut the angle down. But
when
basically, Zuma, there's nobody there.
When you're 6'3", 6'4", I mean, mind you, I haven't played goalkeeper since I was about 12, but I mean, I know what I'm supposed to do at that age. But when you're 6'3", 6'4", first off, goalkeeper union, we all know, never let anything go in your near post. And then secondly, if you are 6'3", 6'4", you can't let a ball, you can't you can't be scored with a ball above you when you're that
He-
tall.
he-
That's just
he-
unacceptable.
He covered the near post, okay, but a little too much. He looked like he was set up for a corner. You know what I mean? He was like hugging the near post. He was hugging the goal line. To me, you got to come out a little bit. You got to cut the angle down a little bit, and you got to be ready for something to come across the face of goal like that. However, I with Scott on this. I think the bigger problem was Zuma just let him walk in.
I'm gonna put it to the test on Monday. I'm playing 7-a-side.
Are you in England? You're gonna go to the belly of the beast, huh?
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Okay. I played a little of that when I lived in Paris, and it was tough. I'm not
You
gonna
go
lie
get
to you.
yourself a kit, Lucas.
No, just I thankfully have some boots and some goalkeeper gloves from a mate. So
It's listen. I mean, it's tough. You know, they're pretty serious.
communication will be strong. I can guarantee the hand-eye coordination is still there, and my American athleticism will prevail.
They're gonna make you play
There
keeper.
we go.
Oh, all I'm thinking of now is Sly Stallone in Victory.
I'm telling you,
That
I'm
is
telling you right now,
Combination of Sly Stallone and Tony Miola.
I'm catching everything. I'm
Are they
literally
gonna
gonna
be-
be.
God
keeper?
dang it,
Are they
not
gonna-
Tony.
They're gonna make you play keeper, aren't they? Though.
I'm gonna be Willie Mays in goal.
But they're not gonna let you play in the outfield because you're American, and they're gonna be like,
Good. I
"No."
don't want to.
Okay.
I'm not-
Well, that's good then. Be a keeper then. I will listen. When I played a couple of times in France, I played like journalist versus PR games, and they always stuck me in goal because that's all I could really do. But I wasn't bad at it. I was okay at it. But yeah, I'm with you on Zuma. He just I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Kieran. I guess, but it looked as though he just let him walk into me. There's
He
nobody
pushed him out.
coming.
He pushed him outside, but you have to have proximity when you're
Right.
doing that, right? I mean, I watch the Premier League all the time, and you see that striker that's supposed to be shaping the direction play goes.
Yes.
Well, that means you don't let them go across you,
Right.
right? And what happens every single time? Strikers pushing, and we go, all right, boom, let's let the ball, and the guy turns and plays the ball the other way. It's
Right.
the same. It's the same mentality of you have to get proximity if you're pushing somebody in a direction and you want
Exactly.
them to go there.
He left too much space. And he left too much. And Fab was poorly positioned, and it was just again though that's the kind of goal that in past seasons would have sunk us, and we would have lost that game 3-1 or 3-0. But we were able to come back. What do you guys? So I guess David Moyes is no longer managing for his job. Where are we on? Where are we on Moyes watch? Lucas, what are they saying in the ground? Because there was a lot of anti-Moyes sentiment, and now we've won
I mean,
a couple in the league and a couple in Europe, and it seems
no, just from I didn't hear a lot the ground, but I mean, just from Twitter and hearsay.
Where was
I think
Kerr
there-
too?
I think there was a lot of people that were 50-50. Like me personally, I'm always gonna be Moyes in until something like really drastically bad happens.
Yeah.
Like when people were calling for his head, I said he at least needs till the World Cup break, and even for me, I think that's still a bit like not enough after what he's done for us. But like I get the game of football. Like I get it. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. But I'm not completely. Some people are moved on from it. I can't move on from a Wolves and Fulham win. For me, I'll be completely convinced if we go and beat Southampton even 1-0 on Sunday, then I think we can move along a little bit. Just because Southampton away, not the easiest, but we have had decent history against Southampton. But the coffin or the nail will be in the Moyes out coffin if we get a result against Liverpool or United away, and a point is there for the taking.
Especially with Liverpool seem to have a lot of injuries right now, although they did.
But I
beat
think
Rangers.
if
They
we
did
get
beat Rangers 7-1 today.
if we get three wins on the bounce, we're literally right back in the mixer. I think we're going to probably be 7th or 8th.
Yeah,
and
it
will be happy days.
It was for me, Lucas. It was not just this season; it was the form since January, and I've always supported Moyes. I supported Moyes from the very first time he came to West Ham. I liked the appointment. I wanted him to stay when the board got rid of him the first time and brought in Pellegrini. I got frustrated after Everton. I'll admit, I got frustrated after a long stretch of games with not a lot of victories, not a lot of points in the league.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the relegation zone coming into the international break, and I actually went on Twitter and said, "Listen, it may be time." And nobody listens to me.
I
But
think
the point is, I was getting to the point where I was saying to myself, I thought I'd be the last one to turn, but I was turning, and I'm not totally unturned yet.
there was some, and what impressed me, it did impress me. We all know Moyes is a stubborn bastard. And the big thing is that he made 2 out of 3 crucial changes he can make, and by those changes I mean,
well, he got Skamaka in as a starter.
He had to get Skamaka in 1,000%, and
now
then Kerr.
We need to see when you got Kerr in at right back.
Kerr at right back had to be done. It just had to be done. Soufal has just not been.
He's regressed to the mean. By the way, I want you to see this. Here's Tom and Rebecca. Okay, Rebecca's due, I think, next month. She looks absolutely fantastic. Tom is just a picture of masculinity in his claret and blue outfit. And look at who's this? What is this? What is going on? What is that? What?
Lucas, you should have wore American flag pants.
All right.
Well, look what he's got on.
That's what I'm saying. You could have worn some American flags.
And look at the bow tie as well. The bow tie. Don't forget the bow tie.
The bow tie didn't match the pants.
Absolutely. You better believe it.
It matches the pants. And
that's a real bow tie, not a clip-on.
I'll tell you what, that is what true performance looks like right there.
So I'll give you a rundown.
You don't have to like it, but you have to respect it.
I had 3 choices. I was either going with the floral trousers, the Euro star pants, which would have been like navy blue, and then a bunch of yellow gold stars, like the Euro Star Train or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then we had what's the one? We had Argyle Union Jack trousers.
Ooh, that's a bold choice.
That is a bold choice.
But it was a hit. It was an absolute hit.
Well, you look brilliant. You really do. And
But the
fact that's Rebecca's favorite picture. She said that was her favorite picture. You are forever.
Like I said, I wanted to be the lasting, or not the lasting, but the last memory you had on the night. But anyway, the three changes that just had to be done. He's done 2 of them. Skamaka to start as striker.
Right.
Kerr right back, because Soufal and Ben Johnson.
Well, and we're getting Paqueta in the starting 11 too, right?
And then the third one that I still think needs to be done, in my personal opinion, is Flynn Downs for Souček.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask everybody, does anybody want to continue to see Souček start in the starting 11, or are we all team Downs? I'm team Downs at this point.
I know I've talked a lot, but for me, it's the same situation with Fornals Benrahma. I think Benrahma needs to start in matches where we're going to possess the ball a lot, and I like Fornals to start when I know we're going to be on the counterattack and we're defending most of the time. And I think Souček falls in that category when it's Souček versus Downs. I think Souček is built for certain games. Like, let's say we're going up against a midfield where 2 or 3 midfielders are like physically strong and we need to knock their block off. I like Souček in those matches. So, like, let's say against Villa, he has to man mark John McGinn like he did. And then I like Flynn Downs, where we're going to possess the ball a bit more. He's sure-footed defensively, and he's a great passer. But in my opinion, when you put Souček and Flynn Downs next to each other, we all know who the better footballer is. Flynn Downs has started 2 matches, and yes, they've been Europa Conference League, but he has ascended the
he's done everything he could do.
He ascended the occasion he was playing in. Like, if he would have played that same exact way against, like, not a Big 6 club, but like someone around that,
Everton, for instance,
which he didn't. He would have done the same exact thing against them. But Flynn Downs has started twice, man of the match twice, and I don't know. Souček just He's just technically not good, and he holds us back going forward.
He
But
can't
he is
pass. He can't pass.
vital in certain matches. Like I said,
Wally, when he does this, he's fantastic. You know, when we're able to unleash him and get him going forward like that. The problem with Souček is he slows down play because he's a bad passer.
and he
can't
always
pass.
passes backwards and
He
sideways,
passes
and always
backwards
is
and
to foul.
sideways. Exact and just
I think that the difference is when Souček and Rice are in the mid together, they're both very similar players. They want to push on,
yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
there's confusion. But when Downs is in, he's gonna sit, and Rice is able to push. I mean, and
Which is
that
what Rice
that
wants to
sort
do.
of
Yeah.
clear job description is exactly what you need.
And
in that role.
realistically, who do you want pushing forward in a midfield three? Rice and Paqueta, or Paqueta and Souček?
Correct.
Yeah. I mean,
You want Rice and I mean Souček with those bullet headers. I mean, when he manages those,
And
those are great.
I'll tell you this much.
But he slows down play.
Yes.
Too often in open
And
play.
he doesn't pass forward. And let me tell you, seeing, like, and I can't explain this to you, seeing in person the ball go between Paqueta, Rice, Scamacca, and Bowen, and then Fornals is like one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed in my life. The triangles going forward, the forward passing, it's borderline sexual.
And it not to be borderline. Take it over the border.
Lucas Paqueta, I've seen lots of mixed reviews. I see a lot of people complaining that he hasn't hit the ground running. He costs 50 million pounds. He should be good right away. I don't believe all that, but he has proven his risk reward level is through the fucking roof. Like his floor is so high. When he makes a mistake, I just don't care because he literally refuses to pass the ball backwards.
Well, let me ask you this, Phil. Let me ask you, what do you think about Souček and Downs? Would you like to see Downs come in for Souček, or are you happy with what we got going?
No, I think it's getting to that point. It's getting to that point where you have to consider making that swap and making it permanent. I think for Souček, I like what he did for us.
Yeah,
early on. That's what we needed.
Yeah,
but now it's kind of that. Now we're starting to transition.
It's the same with Soufal.
But Vernon's got a point here, and this is what he's right. Moyes is going to look at this, and this is a problem that I think we're going to continue to have with Moyes. He's brought in some flair players. You know, he's brought in Paqueta. He's brought in Scamacca. Bowen's a flair player when he's on form. Fornals can be too, for that matter. Benrahma can be when he's an enigma.
And Paqueta might be the most hardworking, flary player I think I've ever seen in my life.
Right, but Moyes likes those guys who track back. Moyes likes those guys who defend. He likes guys like Souček. He likes Fornals for the way Fornals will go back and do defensive work. Souček does a lot of backtracking, a lot of defensive work. You watch him against Wolves. He was actually very good defensively against Wolves. The problem is always going forward. And I think we have to ask ourselves now, philosophically, are we still a counterattacking team, or do we want to try to maintain possession more than 35% or 40% a game? And do we want to go forward? We've brought in these guys, these attacking players, Bowen, Scamacca, Paqueta, I know sits deeper, but he's got the flair to go forward. We can score goals now. We can get pressing forward. Are we going to do it? I think that's the question. And it's a guy like Downs, as you said, Scott. He's the kind of the guy who he plays safety back there a little bit, to use an NFL reference, and he lets Rice go forward. You know, and he lets Rice get up into that passing triangle you were talking about, Lucas, with Scamacca and Paqueta. I just don't think that Souček facilitates that.
I'm going to be honest. So when I was watching the Fulham game, in the first 10 minutes, I just watched Paqueta set everything up, right? Every time he touched the ball, he went backwards. And everybody's just, all right, and people start to assume that. And he did that for 10 minutes, didn't turn on the ball, didn't do anything.
Yep.
And then once he started turning and going at people, it was, even in the 70th minute, people were like surprised.
Yeah.
that he was doing it, and he sets it up beautifully. I mean, the 2 matches I've watched, just first 10 minutes, he's just setting it up and he's doing the same, he keeps playing backwards, and he'll
Just
play
like
backwards.
anyone does. The first 10
Correct.
minutes is always set up to figure out what each other are doing, what
feeling
each
out the
side is going to
opponent.
do.
Yeah,
Correct. And I just think that he's been so solid. There's no way.
Like I said, the risk reward that comes with this player is so through the roof and nothing like we've ever seen before. Like everyone that I've seen on Twitter wants to compare him to Payet. He's not Payet. I think he's better than Payet, footballing wise. He's a supplier. Payet's a creator.
Payet was lightning in a bottle too. I mean, let's be honest.
But Paqueta is honestly, he might end up being the best player I've ever seen next to Declan Rice. And like I said, his risk reward is so through the roof good. Like I don't even care if he tries something and he fluffs it, because I know the one time he's going to connect or get it right, it's going to be outstanding.
That's the way I feel too, Lucas. I mean,
he's a hard worker.
He does give the ball away a lot, okay? But I kind of don't. But I don't care. Exactly. I don't care that he gives the ball away a lot, because one, he's trying to make something happen. Okay. When you try to make something happen, you're going to give the ball away from time to time. The opponent is also there. Do you know what I mean? They don't just, they're not traffic cones. They don't just stand there and let you dribble through them, right?
And a big thing is, with all the people complaining, because I've seen a lot of people that have not been happy with Paqueta, which in my opinion is honestly absurd.
It's ridiculous. I agree.
Like usually, obviously there is there's an adjustment period when a new player comes in. But the thing is with Paqueta, his quality hasn't needed to be adjusted. Like his quality transcends to the Premier League even more. The only thing that I think he hasn't gotten used to yet is the officiating, which obviously is already very spotty. And I'm not going to say the physicality, but I think he's just trying to get adjusted to what he can get away with and what he can't.
Well, he needs to make decisions a little more quickly. Now, he's coming from a league that's a little slower, a little less athletic than the Premier League, as most leagues are. So he sits on the ball a little too long sometimes. That he'll figure that out. What I see from him, and I think,
and the fact he's already done what he's done
exactly
in 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it's been, that's the fastest I've ever seen anyone get stuck in. Besides Payet, obviously.
Well, I think Paqueta, for me, as you said, Scott, he tracks back, he does the work, and you too, Lucas. He does the work, but his quality is obvious. Do you know what I mean?
And for fuck's sake, the guy literally refuses to pass backwards. It makes me feel things I've never felt before.
Well, and that's where I think we're getting into a philosophical sort of, can we be this team? Do you know what I mean? Can we be this team that goes forward, that possesses the ball, that doesn't just counter? I mean, I would love to have more of a possession game, and I think that's what Moyes has been trying to do. But it's for him, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance. I think it doesn't fit what he thinks football should be, or how he likes to teach it. But any disappointment anybody has in Paqueta, to me, is really short-sighted. I mean, I think he's been very good. I think he's only going to get better. I think he's be a fantastic signing.
Literally 2 games in a row now, Paqueta assists Scamacca goal. I don't know what more we can ask for, especially this soon. And Scamacca, low-key, has hit the ground running as well. He hasn't really needed...
not just low-key. Scamacca's great. He's great. What's he got, 6 goals? 6 games? Something like that?
3 starts in all competitions, 2 goals. That's all that needs to be said.
It's great. I mean, it's a great return rate.
Or in the Premier League, at least.
I mean, you have most of our strikers, let's be honest, over the years, have scored once about every 5 games. Their strike rate is kind of low.
And just, I mean... And the whole Antonio Scamacca thing is a whole nother thing. But like, Scamacca literally brings out the best in everyone. He is literally like the most beautiful mix of like Marko Ivanovic and Ibrahimovic. Like his back, he's just amazing. He's great.
What could we have done with him in the second half of last season? In the league, in the Premier League, even
Beautiful
in Europe.
Things.
But I mean, what could we have done with him? We could have been in the Champions League places. I think certainly would have qualified easily for Europa. We were only 2 points away as it was. A Scamacca coming in January, can you imagine? I mean, it would have changed everything. You know,
Nah, but we have to go and put in our phantom bid for Nunes.
Well, the January was a disaster, as we all know, and I'm not really sure what happened there. It's all water under the bridge now, but the point is, he's exactly what we needed, and he's also, I think, he's revitalized Antonio, who again is a monster coming off the bench. I mean, if he's willing to play that role, that's having Antonio come in the last 20 minutes. That big guy come at you, run at you.
And Skamaka has literally, in my opinion, David Moyes found the perfect replacement without him even knowing, because Skamaka can do literally everything Antonio can do, but way better. He's probably not as fast, but Antonio's pace has gone down just a little bit.
But Skamaka's a finisher, and Antonio.
He's a finisher, provider. With his back to the defender, and when the ball comes at his feet, he does things Antonio just realistically cannot do. Antonio's assist to Souček, Spurs at home, that was very good, but we don't see that all the time. Skamaka does that consistently.
Yeah. Well, Antonio, I think if you really wanted to sort of tilt the scales, get Antonio on the right wing and put Skamaka up top, and then, we might be unstoppable. The problem is Antonio works better as a sub because we have Bowen on the right, who's coming back into form.
I've been crying out for this.
Yeah.
He literally is in the perfect Jamie Vardy role. I mean, he's probably not going to score 10 to 15 like Vardy does off the bench, but like, there's nothing in this world I want more than Antonio coming on the last 20 minutes at tired defenders. It's virtually unfair.
Yeah. No, I mean, Antonio in that super sub role is, again, we saw him do it against Fulham, right? I mean, he closes down the game because all of a sudden.
And credit to Souček, he passed the ball forward.
He did. All of a sudden, you got to deal with this guy, this bull who's just unleashed, with 20 minutes to go when everybody's getting tired.
Exactly.
It's fantastic.
Hey, and Antonio dribbled the ball to the corner flag. And
miracles every day.
I saw it and I witnessed it, and I had a warm feeling in my heart when he dribbled the ball.
That's why I don't really like the shouts for Antonio to start, because I don't think people realize if Antonio starts with Skamaka, or if he's put out on the wing, we literally have no super sub. We have Ben Rama. Right. That's it. Well, you need at least two.
Well, and what's the deal with Ben Rama? Where are we on Ben Rama? I mean, I don't know anymore. I really have no idea.
Me personally, like I said, with the whole
careful, James is here. James is in the chat room, so
James knows how I feel. Listening. With the whole Ben Rama Fornals thing, it's now come to the point where I think one suits our style of play better than the other, and I want them to start in certain matches. But like, I'm not a fan of like confidence players. Like Ben Rama shouldn't need confidence. Like to play in the Premier League, you have to have confidence already. Like Skamaka, Paqueta, they fuck up all the time, but they stick to it. Especially Paqueta. You think Paqueta needs fucking confidence?
No, I the problem I have with, as you said, with a player like Ben Rama is when he's bad, he's I know James is ready. I know you are. But listen, let's be honest. When he's bad, he's so bad.
When he gives the ball away and watches a player dribble away,
right?
That's it. In my world, you're done as a player.
Felipe Anderson.
When you don't try to get back on the ball you gave away, you're done.
And I think Ben Rama's in a win-win situation, because obviously, like, there's people that think Moyes is out to get him and has treated him unfairly, which I think is fair in some cases. But he's in a win-win situation where if he thinks that, he should literally just play his game anyway, because if he thinks he's going to get axed or sacked or whatever, he should just go out there with the mentality that whatever I do, no one's going to be happy with. So I'm going to play my game. I'm going to go at defenders.
I mean, this is a fair comment, James. It really is. The problem I have with Ben Rama, though, again, as we've just said, is I don't want to use the word attitude, but it's got to do with
he plays scared.
When he isn't playing well, the bottom drops out for him completely. Do you know what I mean? It's not that he's out of form; it's that he is abjectly.
He has a poor. and I don't want to say he has a poor mentality, but his confidence.
It's his confidence. I hated when, Felipe Anderson, who could be such a brilliant player, started walking and watching and doing the things he did with us at the end of his time with West Ham, and I know he's gone on to do well other places, and that's great. I don't have anything against him. I didn't like what he did at the end of his time with us, and I see that creeping in a little bit with Rama. Do you know what I mean? Just I hate to see that rot start to seep in.
Like
I don't think he has to be that way.
Anyone who's ever played a sport at some sort of competitive level, whether that be like travel league, high school, junior college, whatever.
Yeah.
If you do not have confidence, you literally cannot play a sport. You have to have some sort of confidence. And Ben Rama just has the worst confidence I've ever seen. Some of it warranted, some of it not. And it doesn't take
I don't think Moises managed him well, to be
I
honest.
don't either. I think there has been times it's been unjust towards him.
I think Moises tried a tough love approach with him.
And
that's not working. I feel Benrahma really strongly reminds me of. No, they haven't. I agree. He reminds me of a character you'd see in a movie, where he's like the brilliant young player, but the coach is hard on him because he knows he can do better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's that type though. I think Moises tried to be.
I don't know his type.
I don't know what his type either. But Moises tried this tough love thing. I don't think the tough love thing's working. I think the tough love thing is backfiring. It may be too late. It may be too late.
I'm still in the camp though. Say if Benrahma plays tomorrow and he bags a brace or bags a goal and assist, in my opinion, because Fornals hasn't been top tier this season, but he's been okay. But at the end of the day, he's not a left winger. So if we're playing Southampton, I think we're going to have the ball. If Benrahma gets 2 goal contributions tomorrow, I want to see him play on Sunday.
I think I think we'll have the ball too. Anderlecht, by the way, we should talk about this game tomorrow. This will not be a simple game. And I'm going to tell you right now, our little foray into Europe there's been a gilded path so far, in my opinion. I don't think we've been as good in Europe as our results have indicated. We got pretty lucky against Bucharest and Silky Johnson, my favorite. It always reminds me of that. You remember the Dave Chappelle sketch, Lucas, where it's the player haters ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think when I see Silkeborg, I always think of Silky. The player haters.
Just run computer blue. Works every time.
Hate. Anyway, so I thought we got really fortunate with some penalty. And I'll tell you this. I thought we were so fortunate in a couple of those games that it made me wonder if the Conference League was throwing us a bone the way the Premier League throws a bone to the Big Six. Do you know what I mean? Hey, we need West Ham to advance in this competition. Let's let them have a soft penalty here to get them into the match, because West Ham are going to be a much bigger draw for the Conference League than Silky or any of the other clubs in our group.
And you do have to realize we are playing our B team, which I still expect us to win, but you can only expect so much.
Hey, look, our B team right now is night and day better than what our B team was last year.
Yeah.
Right? We had to play starters in those
we didn't have a B team
because we didn't have a B team.
And that's the beauty of what we're doing this season. Now, I will say the last game against Anderlecht, that was a good performance on our part. Now, they're a good team. They're not bad at all. And I think they're probably the best of the 3 other teams in our group. I thought that was a legitimate victory, and maybe the first really good victory we've had in Europe in this run. I don't know what you guys have thought. I thought our first couple of European victories, we got a lot of help.
I mean, against Bucharest and Silkeborg, those were games where if there were better teams, we don't get those results. But we were able to get the results and get out.
We got some help. We got some calls. We got some decisions too, Phil. I'm sorry. I think we did.
No, I'm not saying we didn't get results. Yeah. We didn't get decisions. We did. I mean, also the big part, there's no VAR. So,
That's true too. Yeah. I mean, that plays a huge role. There he
Yeah.
is. Wait, did I even do that right?
Ah,
Did I even do that right? Am I showing him? Am I showing Silky?
yep,
There he
Yep.
is.
yep.
What could be said about that suit?
The
That already
world, the
been said
World
about
Series of Dice is
Afghanistan.
still my favorite
Oh
Chappelle
God, I
skit of
love the
all
World
time.
Series of Dice. World Series of Dice is, whoops, I've messed it up. World Series of Dice.
Boy, you the goddamn devil.
World Series of Dice is amazing. Oh, I can't believe 20 years
But
on, I'm still watching Dave Chappelle sketches, and they're
I
funny
can't get Ashley
every
Larry
they're
out of
funny
my
every
head.
time. You know what I mean? They're funny every time. Anyway, Silky.
but
But yeah, to me, the Anderlecht game was the first one we've played where he actually looked kind of like a worthy winner to me. So we got him at home tomorrow, and it was that was a tight game last week. I don't know. What do you guys think is going to happen? Yeah, I feel as if we're kind of rounding into form, but I mean, Thursday nights are different. You know, we can actually
Still a lot to improve.
we can win the group
we
tomorrow.
can definitely advance, and I think maybe even win the group if I'm not mistaken.
No,
If we win tomorrow, we win the group. Outright.
Yeah, yeah. So we could actually have a couple of dead rubber matches, which would be fantastic.
One of
right?
my favorite
Well, the
matches
kids-
last year
you're-
was the Dynamo
let's see.
match where we just played everyone in Mark Noble. I would love to see that again.
Yeah, that's what I
Hopefully.
want. Harrison Ashby out there, and whoever's left in our reserve team. I don't know. Sonny Perkins, the banjo player, is gone, and those guys. But whoever is left among the reserves, put them out there. That would be fantastic. if
Do
we
you
got
have a
couple
team?
games
Do you have
like
a
that.
team you'd want to see tomorrow? Because me personally, I would like to see about the same, except for one player, and I'm just curious if you guys would keep starting this player or not. Because I think there's a certain player that played last match that I think it makes me sad, but he is a complete shadow of himself.
Against Anderlecht, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I listen. The player I don't want to see right now is Soufal. I think he's been absolutely awful, and I love him for who he is and what he
I
represents.
think he plays
but
tomorrow.
I think he plays tomorrow too, and I don't think he should. I mean, I know we don't want to run Kerr into the ground. He's a new signing. He's just getting into the team, but God, he's been brilliant. Plus, I wonder, was Ben Johnson healthy? Ben Johnson played.
Yeah,
against
he's
Anderlecht.
back. He's back.
He
So
played against Anderlecht, right?
what
Didn't he
would
play against
your
Anderlecht? Yeah.
lineup be tomorrow? A mix of what you think you'll see or what you want to see.
I would personally, I would get Johnson in at right back and just have Kress at left back. I think Kress is still serviceable, especially in Europe. I don't think he's as bad a player as most people think he is.
I'm on the Emerson train personally.
Well, I mean that's fine too. Now Emerson, to me, I like Emerson, but the question is he a defender? I mean, can he actually defend? I think he's great going forward, but what happens when he tracks back?
Emerson was picked up to be the outside when we're playing three backs, right?
Right,
Three center
exactly.
backs. That's why he's there. Cresswell, in my opinion, has been shocking. Like I think I told you, one of the last games, he literally just passed the ball straight to the offensive player and watched him dribble on frame. Right, like Cresswell is beyond his use.
And his defending is not above and beyond Emerson's.
Correct.
To like be that big of an impact. Like I'd rather you give me Emerson who can go forward and he overlaps and plays the ball forward and can play one-touch passes. And again, he's not that much worse of a defender than Cresswell. Like if you're asking me out of 10, I give Aaron Cresswell like a 6.5, and that could be polite. And I'd give Emerson like a 6. And that doesn't move the needle enough for me to keep Cresswell playing.
Correct.
Well, I mean,
and
that's a valid
we'll
point.
look different when we get, our other center back too, because then we'll play 3 in the back, the 2 wide players. I mean, I think that's what Moyes was dreaming of before we had the injury anyway.
Well, let me ask you this about Cresswell, though. I mean, I could be wrong, but let's assume, because I think it's probably true, he's either going to play Thursday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Where do you want to see him? Because I'm thinking I'd rather see him on Thursday. I'd rather risk. I'll put him in against Anderlecht because I think it's a weaker opponent, quite frankly. And Southampton to me is where you want your stronger. Your
Yeah,
stronger
I want to see Emerson on Sunday, so I'd
I
play
do too.
Cresswell on Thursday.
Right, which is the rationale for me behind putting Cresswell in against Sonderlach, is so you won't put him in. You don't see him on Sunday.
I guess my thing is at this point, it's time to. I guess they should have already been doing it, but it's that time of transition into the mentor role
Yeah,
for Sufal and Cresswell. They can be the guys who are helping bring up the younger fullbacks. So I don't mind them starting in Conference League, especially if we clinch the top of the group tomorrow. You get 2 dead rubber matches. You can give them opportunities to either, start those 2 matches, or you can kind of mix and match them with one of
Yeah.
the young fullbacks.
I can't. I have no. I agree. I mean, I think if we get the dead rubber matches, then you can absolutely have them in the Mark Noble roles, where you put them out there and you say, all right, be with the kids. Do you know what I mean? Be a seasoned veteran out here with the kids, and it doesn't matter whether we win or lose. We've already gone through anyway.
I mean,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, realistically, if you want to be extremely out there, once all of our center backs are healthy, you could literally throw out an experienced back line of Sufal, Ogbonna, Dawson, and Cresswell. I mean, against a lower tier opponent.
Which, believe it or not, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw that tomorrow.
Like me personally, this is what I'd go with for tomorrow. And
That's not what I want to see, but it wouldn't shock me.
I think this would get the job done, and I'll speak about the player who I really don't want to see play again because he's been that bad, and he's a shadow of himself, sadly. I would go, obviously, Ariel in goal.
Yeah.
I would like to see Harrison Ashby play tomorrow, but I think it'll be Sufal. So either one of them, I'd be happy. Then I would like to see a center back pairing of Johnson and Ogbonna. And then I think Emerson will play tomorrow. And then I'd like to see a midfield 3 of Coventry, Downs. Actually, Coventry or Fornals, I wouldn't mind. And then Flynn Downs. And then I personally would like to see Souček play tomorrow over Manuel Lanzini. Sadly, he has.
Oh yeah.
Been.
Yeah.
I think he's been our worst player this season.
He's
by
been
a mile.
passenger, hasn't he? He's really been a passenger.
It's been horrible. He's been a
really
ghost.
No, I got to be honest with you. I forgot he was even.
I would say
for us.
I would say it's between him and Stufal's our worst player this season, and I think Lanzini's been the worst one. And then Ben Rama left wing. Skamaka's going to have to play tomorrow because Antonio could be out because of a cold, but I feel like David Moyes could have been overplaying that. So hopefully Antonio plays tomorrow. But from what I've heard and all the press conferences,
I would stick Skamaka. Listen, Skamaka's in form. Let's nail this.
We have no one else. If Cornet was healthy,
right.
I'd stick Cornet up there, and then Jared Bowen unfortunately has to play because we have no other right winger.
I think I would love to nail this group down. I mean, I would actually not mind seeing Ben Johnson come in at either right back or left back, depending on where we need him. And you could put Ogbonna and Dawson in the middle, and I think that's probably fine.
I sadly have just given up faith on Ben Johnson playing either fullback position. I think he's pretty decent at center half, especially in a back 3. I think that's where he plays his best. But that's just me personally. He just cannot physically go forward with a ball. He's incapable.
Well, he's not better. He's not great at going forward. I'll give you that. I mean, that's true.
But his ball retention and his composure is decent. He just can't dribble forward or pass in tight spaces. He does play a decent switch ball.
I mean, it's obvious to me that you have Kerr in that position on Sunday at right back. Right?
You have to.
That's obvious. And then at left back, either you're going to have Moyes is probably going to start Cresswell. He could start Emerson. I'm thinking for the purposes of this European fixture tomorrow. I mean, Johnson seems serviceable to me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He seems serviceable. Whereas Kufal has just been I mean, he's finally looking like
he
a 5
hasn't
million
put he hasn't
pound.
put together a complete match yet. He's had about 2 matches where he's had a very good second half, but a horrible first half. Like Spurs at home, he had a pretty solid second half performance. I can't remember the other match where he had a good second half performance, but he just can't string together a good match so far. And it's been the same with Souček as well, except he's just had better second half performances, or one good first half performance. But yeah,
I'm with you on Lanzini. I forgot Lanzini had even been playing for us, to be honest.
it actually makes me sad even having to say that, but I have to be real. He's just been so bad.
Yeah, I feel
I
as though
think
Go ahead, Phil.
he just hasn't been himself. Like since that pre-World Cup injury, he hasn't been the same guy. I think we could go all the way back there, and you
I
could just
agree.
point at that moment. Once that injury happened, he just lost.
It's sad
that
because he's
bit
only
of
20.
sparkle.
He's
I'm
so
sorry.
young. By the way, today is Carlton Cole's birthday. By the way, happy birthday, Carlton Cole. He's 39. I could have, if you'd asked me, I'd have said he was like 45. I feel as though Carlton
Sex,
Cole was
drugs, Carlton Cole.
I love Carlton Cole. I love Carlton Cole. I feel as though he played
Absolute
for West Ham
bastard.
in like the late 80s, which is of course not true. It felt as though he played for West Ham forever and ever. He's only 39, but anyway, happy birthday to Carlton Cole. But I'm thinking of Lanzini and Cresswell. To me, both players who looked finished, and then they kind of came back and had revivals, and then they kind of looked finished again.
Yeah. And sadly, there's only one man who's quite old, but he is aging like fine wine. He might as well be Italian. And it's fucking Craig.
Can you imagine we were going to let him go? We were going to let him go?
It's so sad. It's like I'm watching someone's funeral.
You can't let Craig Dawson go.
It's like I'm watching someone's funeral.
Craig Dawson is possibly, along with Declan Rice, our most consistent performer.
Performer. You ever heard that ultimatum, like, would you rather? It's like, would you rather know how you die or when you die?
Yes.
We're basically in that right now with Craig Dawson.
I mean, Craig Dawson, listen, we know he has a ceiling, okay? And sometimes he, I remember his 2 own goals against Arsenal a couple of seasons ago. I know sometimes he collapses.
I'm telling you, ever since his red card against Newcastle, he has just been an absolute heat-seeking missile.
That's as a consistent performer. In other words, a guy you put on the pitch and know what you're going to get. Craig Dawson and Declan Rice are two most consistent performers. I mean, you're going to get. Now, I'm not saying Dawson is a player Rice is. That's not what I mean. I just mean that in terms of guys who don't have a lot of up and down, the anti-Ben Ramas, right? Who don't have a lot of up and downs, a lot of bumps in form. To me, Dawson and Rice, you get variations, but generally, he's
been huge because, like I was saying before, with like Moyes in, Moyes out, he made 2 out of the 3 biggest changes you can make, and moving Kerr from center half to right back when he was playing as well as he has. That's a big move. It's a huge move. Scott would know because he's a coach. If you have a very good player, like we all knew Kerr could play about 3 or 4 different positions, but when you stick a player like that in a position and he's playing so well, it's a ginormous call to switch him from center half to a fullback. That's huge. That's a complete different position. In my opinion, still the most important position in football on the pitch to me is a fullback.
Well, I love defenders, so I'm with you.
I think in the end, though, that's where when they're playing a back 3, that's where Kerr will slot in. And so I think some of that is out of, that preparation for that. I mean, we're not going to see our other guy back till after the World Cup, most likely. But I think that, that was a huge move to make. Absolutely enormous.
And putting him at right back, I said this on E20 Zone TV. Go subscribe. I said this.
Yes, E20 Zone TV. James's channel.
I said moving Kerr at right back. Putting Kerr at right back is the biggest move Moyes could have made because not only does it allow us to play aggressive, but it allows us to play conservative because you can easily just sub on someone more conservative or more attacking, and just put Kerr. It's back at center half.
Yeah,
It's
and
huge.
somebody mentioned this way back up in the chat. I don't remember who it was, but somebody made the point. Baby girl, I hear baby girl. Somebody made the point that Moyes always takes so long to get these players integrated into the team. Oh, he has to get used to the Premier League. He has to get used to this or that. Get used to our system. Kerr comes in and it's like, bam, he just plays. He plays center back. He plays right back. He does whatever. There's no waiting. There's no soft,
Literally,
onboarding. He just slots in.
If there's only one thing I could change about him, I would just take his intensity down one notch, and he would be literally the most unreal player. Because he is a bit aggressive.
I'd make him English instead of German. Probably what I would do. But other than that, or maybe American, but not German. But anyway, yeah, no, but listen, the guy is a leader. Clearly, he's vocal, and he seems to command respect.
He's only 24, and somehow has the most German caps under the new manager, which has gone under the radar. So for £10 million, I feel like we actually ran a coup.
Oh, it's an absolute steal. It's crazy. It's an absolute steal. And I think,
I'm getting Zuma vibes from Chelsea for £24.5 million. Absolute coup.
Zuma, does he look a little limpy to anybody else? Somebody else mentioned this.
I'm convinced that's just how he likes to walk.
Is that just how he is? Yeah. Oh, Scott, you're on mute.
Sorry, baby in the background. I'm convinced he just walks with the weird gait.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew a guy
and runs
like
with that same very awkward, weird.
Being a basketball player, there are literally just guys that naturally walk like that, or they just choose to. Yeah. I don't know why, but it's just how they walk.
I grew up with a kid who had an imbalance, a chemical imbalance in his brain, and it didn't have a severe effect on him.
His equilibrium was off.
Yes, and it made him tilt back and forth. But he played quarterback for our high school football team, and he played 4 years of.
I bet no one could tackle him.
Nobody could tackle him. He played 4 years of Division 1A football at TCU. We went to school together, and he was a tight end and on special teams for 4 years. And the guy was an absolute monster. He was a fantastic athlete. He still is, but he always walked with this weird gait,
Yeah.
And it didn't affect the way he played. But we should have played him at quarterback at TCU.
How women walk a certain way.
Yeah,
with their lower half. But with him, it's probably his shoulders. He's going left, right, left, right.
He just had a weird gait to him, but the dude was he played on my soccer team when I was a young kid, and he was just an absolute monster. Then he played football. If you play Division I football, you're a really good athlete, right?
Physical specimen.
Yeah, and it was the same idea. So yeah, maybe that's just how Zuma is. I still obviously trust him, but I'm looking forward to Agerd when he is available.
Oh my God! Literally, I don't think anyone realizes that as soon as he comes in, if we have a back line,
I think he's our best center back.
If we have a back line of Kerr, Zuma, Agerd, and then whatever you prefer, Emerson or Cresswell. I prefer Emerson. We are going to look unbelievable.
Can I ask you this too? Do we want to play a back 3/back 5? I'm not that
4-3-3 is the way to go for me.
Right. That back 5 we played early in Moyes' tenure, when Arthur and Cresswell kind of helped each other play left back because neither one of them could actually do it alone. That solidified us defensively, I thought, and even going forward.
Even
but
with Agüero
anymore. I don't think we need it anymore.
We don't. But even with Agüero, if you wanted to play a back 3 or back 5, he is the perfect center back because literally, he is a Man City center half. If you let him pick up his dribble and go to mid pitch, he will play a ball over the top or through the middle. He'll play that killer pass.
Yeah.
And it'll get you a goal. And he's very good in the air. He's not that strong, but he's a very good leaper.
I think if we go to a back three, I think the weirder part is where you slot in those extra spots, right? So it's at a 3-5-1 because we're
Right.
only playing one target man anyway. Essentially,
Right.
it'll be a 3-4-3, right?
Yeah.
Because our wings will play higher. But every system is a version of 4-4-2 in the end. So it's not like it's not reinventing the wheel. It's just where and how you play guys.
Like for me, my ideal lineup when everyone's healthy, I would run a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 because honestly, all it takes is 5 yards. It's all it takes is 5 yards up more for the pivot to be a 4-3-3. I would go Areola, Kerr, Zuma, Aguerd, Emerson, and then my midfield three would be Rice, Paqueta, Downs. Or actually, no, I would probably Downs or Fornals. Doesn't matter to me. And then Benrahma on the left or Cornet. Either or. Cornet has been kind of shit for us. I mean, he has 5 Conference League assists, but he hasn't looked that great besides Chelsea.
He hasn't looked. He didn't look that great to me.
Skamaka and Bowen. I think if you play that 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 lineup, we would. I'd
get Fornals in there. I'd personally get Fornals in there over Benrahma. Although you could also put Fornals more like the 10, I guess.
He's just Fornals at the end of the day is just not a winger, and the only reason we know he plays left wing is to make up for Cresswell's horrible pace because he slows a donkey, and Benrahma's just inconsistent. If Benrahma was more consistent, he would probably lock down the left winger position because Benrahma's work rate isn't that bad. It's just when his confidence is low and he gives the ball away, like Scott said, he just kind of like watches.
I'm still picturing Cresswell running up and down the field going, "Donkey!"
He's just slow. He's just slow. He's past it. Even like his dead balls haven't been that great either. His corners.
No, I know
they've been horrid.
He's losing it, and that's a shame because that was a major weapon for us. His set pieces were a huge weapon for us, and now
that's also been down for us this year. I feel like a lot of people have not noticed.
I was going to say our free kicks and corners, like we used to be dangerous.
And our corners were how we scored half our goals.
And I have no earthly idea where that's gone. I mean,
I don't either.
If we try another short corner, I might just bust out in tears.
Short corners drive me absolutely bonkers. Absolutely, just completely.
We're the worst in the league.
I detest them. I hate them. I cannot stand them. The only time I ever want to see a short corner is when we're winning and we're trying to keep possession and we're taking the ball to the corner flag. Do you know what I mean? That's time for a short corner. Any other time, whip that ball in, man. I even have my 3rd and 4th graders whip that ball in. You know what I mean? They can barely get it in front of the goal, but I'm like, just do it. Just try it. You know? Uh-oh. There she is.
Yes.
Say hi to Lee. And
there
Lucas.
She is. Now look at how she makes an entrance compared to how my boys make an entrance.
This is what we need.
Great job. Everyone's loving her.
Oh, that baby girl.
I don't think you guys heard her, but when I said say
hi
to Lee to Lucas, she's just hi.
Hello.
Very quiet.
Love it.
That's awesome. All right, I don't want to go too much longer. Which I know everybody laughed at that, but this time I mean it.
I'm shocked we went past an hour.
I know. I apologize. I'm fine. I haven't done this in a while. I do want to wrap up in like about 10 minutes or so. So I guess let's do some predictions tomorrow and then Sunday. Lucas, of course, will be there for both. So it's obvious that we're winning both. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But it's just a matter of what the score is going to be. Lucas, you're there. By the way, are you staying with somebody? Are you like in a hotel? Where are you?
I'm in Gidea Park right now, which is a very nice area. I didn't expect it to be like really nice. It's next to Romford. It is basically that? Romford.
Gidea Park?
Yeah, that's the neighbor. That's the town.
Is that like? Are you staying with somebody, or are you in there?
No, I'm in a hotel. It's pretty. Okay. It's all right.
All right.
It gets the job done, but I'm out most of the time. But tomorrow for me, I will be there. I'll have some pretty solid seats again, thankfully. Shout out to you know who and the you know who's. But I'm gonna go for Skamaka's going to have to start tomorrow, so I do think he's going to score again.
Yeah.
I do think we're going to play like a strongish team. Like last time we played a literal B team. I think we're going to have we play like a B- team. I think we're going to play a pinch above. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Soucek or Fornals start in the midfield tomorrow. So I'm going to go 3-1 just because Bowen will be playing, Skamaka will be playing. I think
we're going to try to close this thing out.
Yeah.
Because what I see happening is hopefully, if we can win this group tomorrow, which is possible, then we don't have to play in Europe again until next year, right?
Yeah, after
February or something like that.
We don't have to play our serious team in Europe.
Right. We don't have to show up, right? So if we can close this thing out, then you get to focus on the league up to the World Cup, which is actually only about
in 2 weeks' time, we can see all the youngsters play. There's a new up-and-coming prospect. His name's Ollie Scarles. Apparently, he is absolutely mustard.
Yes.
Like apparently, he is already a very, very good dribbler and skiller of the ball, which
another
is nice.
Chelsea guy, Chelsea reject, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll take him. We've done fine with the ones we've had. I think we're going to try to close this thing out, and then focus on the league until
exactly. So I'm going 3-1. I'm going to go.
What about Sunday? What do you think?
Sunday, I think obviously we'll play our strongest 11. Hopefully Skamaka doesn't have to play a full 90 tomorrow. Hopefully we get the job done in 55, 60 minutes. I am going to get Southampton have lost 4 on the bounce. So you already know what's going to happen.
We know they're going to. I know. You don't have to tell me. I know.
But they have been.
They're going to be fantastic. They're going to be brilliant.
Yeah, they've been pretty shit. We have decent history against them, home and away. Their one center half, the one German sensation, the young guy, I forget his name, but he's been pretty bad lately. And I think with Paqueta and Skamaka in form in the link-up they've had so far, I think I'm going to go 2-1 on Sunday.
Okay. Well, okay. Fair. Phil, what do you think about our next two? Before maybe we do another show again next week, maybe.
I'm going to go 2-0 at home versus Anderlecht. And I'll say we'll probably win 3-2 on Sunday.
Okay. 3-2. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, at Southampton, what did somebody put on Twitter today? Southampton haven't scored in how many matches or haven't kept a clean sheet. I can't remember what it was anyway, but they're in bad form, so that scares me. Obviously, as a West Ham fan, that scares me. Scott, what do you think about Thursday, Sunday?
Well, since we can't keep anybody out of the back of the net, their opponent's scoring on us both matches. I think we're 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, I am pretty confident in our ability to beat Anderlecht at home, but I agree that we will not keep a clean sheet. I think we can manage another 3-1 though. I really do. I think we can. I think, and it may look a lot like what Fulham looked like. Skamaka, maybe Antonio comes on late if we need him. He kind of closes out the game. Now they played pretty well in that first leg, but that was their home leg, and this is going to be a different experience for them. And I think we can close it out. I feel as though we have the quality to do that, and we're going to make it a priority. Sunday, man, I just don't know. I feel a real letdown, like a 1-1 coming on. Do you know what I mean? Just like a.
Realistically, we just cannot lose that match.
I know we can't. No, we can't. And I'm not sure we will. I just feel our league form, the results have been good. The performances are still not where they should be, in my opinion. There's long stretches.
We still haven't taken the next step yet in form, in my opinion. Like I think we've played I don't think we've played like a 7 out of 10 yet. We've played like a good amount of 6.5s. We've mostly looked about a 6, 5.5. But baby steps. Rome isn't built in one day. I think once Paqueta adapts to the officials, the referee, and the physicality,
Yeah.
then I think we're really going to take the next step. And right after Sunday, we jump into an absolute big boy midweek.
Yeah.
Which, in my opinion, we should be looking to get points. With the
I
injuries.
feel as though, I mean, Wolves long stretches of that game, our performance was just not very good.
It wasn't great.
Fulham better, but Wolves were absolutely dire. One of the worst Premier League teams I've seen.
Yeah.
And Fulham actually came in pretty good form, but I did think we had a better performance against Fulham. I think we need to really ramp up the quality of our performance in the league right now. Just basic football, sharper passing, better decisions, quicker attack. Do you know what I mean? It's simple stuff. And part of that's going to be these players coming together, finding their form together, figuring each other out. Do you know what I mean?
And I think Moyes has figured it out with the 2 out of 3 changes that I mentioned. I think there's he has no other choice but to start Carrot right back and Scamacca up top. And the next big step will be 4 nows or downs for Souček.
Yeah.
And hopefully Benrahma finds some confidence in the Conference League games to push on.
I think we'll see Benrahma tomorrow. I think we'll see Downs tomorrow, which is disappointing. That means we'll see Souček on Sunday. But yeah, I think if Moyes can finally click over to getting Downs into the league games, we'll improve. And you know, again, I think there's no we. Honestly, I'd feel better if we play Manchester City on Sunday than playing Southampton. Something about Southampton away and the form they're in, that's what scares me. You know what I mean?
And the big thing,
if they had come in winning 3 on the bounce, I'd feel better than they haven't won.
The big thing I forgot to mention with Flynn Downs is after the match, Moyes did say Flynn Downs has now given him like a serious
he did
a serious think about his future playing time. And before, Flynn Downs was never even looked at an option. Now he's officially an option where if Souček is laying an absolute stinker, Flynn Downs can come on at halftime and change the system, change the way we play.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
that to me is huge in itself.
No, you're absolutely right. So all right. So we'll pretty much let it be at that, I think. You guys want to throw anything in before we go?
I'm praying that we just don't lose on Sunday. It'll be a good day for me. And Liverpool next week on Wednesday could potentially be one of the greatest nights of my life.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think about Liverpool being on a Wednesday. I'm too far ahead to try to talk about that game in my opinion.
All I know is Luis Diaz is hurt, Joel Matip's hurt, Trent Alexander-Arnold is hurt. There is something there for the taking.
Next Wednesday. Oof.
The Red Sea is parting for us.
I would kill to witness a win at Anfield or Old Trafford. I think I could die happy.
Anfield, you know how many times we've won there in the last 50 years? Not very many. We won in the Payet season.
Payet game.
Yeah, I mean the Payet season we won there, and I think there might have been one other since literally 1964 or 5. I'm not sure. 50 years, 60 years, not even 50 years, 60 years. I think we've won something like
the German nut job is breaking down slowly, and nothing would make my heart warmer than to see him cry.
Oh, I would love to beat them. So love to beat them. But that's, you know what? I realize that game's going to happen before we do another show, but it's too far away for me to think about. Yeah, that we'll talk about it though. We'll talk about it after it happens. Anyway, so Lucas in England, our man in East London, Phil, our man in Chicago on the South Side, and Scott in the biggest little city in the world.
Yeah.
Reno, Nevada, the biggest little city in the world, home of Reno 911, which is coming back to TV. I love that show, by the way.
Oh my God, is it actually?
Yeah, I've heard it is. Yeah.
Oh fuck yes.
Yeah, I love Reno 911. I love it so much. I love it.
God, so much. That is amazing. That's probably the best news I've heard all year.
It's one of my. I look it up because I saw it passed me on Twitter.
Nothing was better when I was younger, and I thought that it was real. That was the most time for that. Mind you, I, had
mean-
to have been
I
like
mean,
12 or 13, and
It
I
probably
totally
kind of
thought it was
is- It
real.
probably kind of is real
Well,
in some places, but
Excuse me.
I was hoping that I would see bicycle cops or cops dressed that way when I moved here.
with the short
I was
shorts
like,
and
it
the
has to be
boots-
based on something, right? Not quite.
with the short shorts and the white boots.
My
Oh,
favorite,
God.
Reno
That's such a great
911
show.
scene of all time is when they're up on the rooftop trying to stop the kids from jumping from roof to roof on their bike, and they're just sitting down there and they start betting on if they're going to make it or not. And then as soon as one of them falls, they're like, "Oh shit! Call the ambulance." I absolutely love Reno 911.
I love it so much. All right, something to look forward to.
The
and-
WWE of cop shows.
Oh, it's just brilliant. It is actually. It's such a brilliant. The whole thing's such a brilliant idea. Anyway, to everybody in the chat room, you were fantastic. Thank you for being here. We're really going to try to keep this going on Wednesday nights. Okay, it's been a rough September, October on a personal level for me, but we have all survived. We're okay. Everybody's fine. It just was a lot to get through. And until we meet again, if you guys, I'm gonna throw my what am I trying to say? GoFundMe link out one more time for the end of the show here. Our lads in the Gambia who are doing so well representing West Ham, absolutely doing extremely well. Semifinals of a local tournament, and they're getting selected for bigger and better things. And they're keeping this club going, and your help is essential. So thank you for that. And until then, until hopefully next week, come on, you Irons.
Hey, Irons.
Hey.
Irons.